Hi everyone, my name's Lucinda and I'm part of the Ciao Bella creative design team. Oh, what a lovely job that is. So today what I thought we'd do is some nice quick Christmas decorations, place settings using a mixture of some stamps and some stencils. So I'm going to be using the Swan Lake stamp set and the December and Joy because the two work beautifully together. And we've got fantastic sentiments on there. We've got the mistletoe and falling snow, good memories of December and Joy, beautiful swan image in two different sizes now, and then the snowflakes, which all coordinate fantastically together. So I'm going to be using those. I'm going to be also using, let's just turn this over so you can see, two of the stencils. Now this one is called the Sangalo lace. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this one is autumn leaves. And I thought we'd mix them with some distresses oxides to create our backgrounds and then do some stamping on top. So let's move you to one side. Now what I've done is I've created myself a template for a bag, and I will forward the template on to Ciao Bella because even though I'm making this as a Christmas project, this would be perfect with a range of your Ciao Bella papers to make little gift bags with. And you know, it doesn't have to be Christmas. It could be change the stencils, change your colours, change your stamps, and you've got a gift bag for any time of the year. So what I've done is I've taken that template and I've just cut it out, as you can see. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start by creating our backgrounds. Right, what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with the stencil, the autumn leaves, and I'm creating quite a subtle background, and I want to start with the frayed burlap distress oxide, and I'm not filling out the whole of the pattern. I'm just picking out different areas where I would like the pattern to go. I'm not worried about the bottom part here because that's going to be a gluing area. Right, so that's my basic background there. And what I'm going to do is I just want to quickly, don't want to waste the ink on there, so I'm just bringing in a spare piece of card, and I just want to quickly spritz the stencil rather than waste the water. So I'm going to spritz this off camera and just put my stencil down, and this is going to be the starting point for yet another background. I'm just going to use my brayer and just push that ink around. So I'm just picking up all the different bits of ink. As you can see, there was still a lot more on there. So I've given myself a really cool starting point for another background, picking out some of the stencil. And as I've added the water, it's doing all the lovely oxidizing effect on there. Sorry, there's just one more piece of ink that I'm just going to have to grab. So this now will just sit there and dry. So I'm going to bring this layer in. And this time I'm going over with the Sangalo lace. And I thought what we'll do is we'll do some speckled egg this time. So I've got that background building up, as you can see, and it's very subtle and it's very, very light. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and I'm going to do exactly the same with this stencil and just spritz it. Sorry, it will be off camera, just so I don't get the water in my ink. And I'm just going to do exactly the same again as I did before. And I'm just building up a layer. So just by the spritzing that I've done with the stencil and just the ink, I know I'm using a long piece, which is going to be really tricky to show, but you can see I've got the starting point of another really cool background. So we've just got that there. Now if I bring this back in play, I just want to bring now a few of my stamps in, and this time I'm going to use some weathered wood. So I'm just going to move the other bits out of the way. So I'm using the snowflake now, and this is from the December and Joy stamp set. I'm just going to clean my stamp. I'm just going to spritz it for now. And I just want to add the excess ink onto this background that I'm making here. So we'll let that go to one side and dry again. Using one of the smaller stamps from the same set. And this time I'm going to use the frayed burlap. I'm just going to bring in a couple of the snowflakes. So the design is very tonal, and I'm not doing it so it has to be absolutely perfect. I'm just doing it so it's a subtle nod in the background. Right. And then finally, I want to get this stamp here, and with some of the speckled egg. I'm going to get a smaller block. That would probably be a lot easier. So this is the starting point of my background. Now I need to let it dry before I go on to the next stage. So I have gone ahead and I have done another one, only so we can get ahead. So if I bring my other one in, exactly the same colours. And what I've done is I've just folded the edges up now, and I've just inked down around the edges with the frayed burlap, just to make each of those edges stand out just that little bit more. So you can see the stenciling and you can see the over stamping. So that's my basic design on my box. Right, the next stage is let's create some decoration using the stamps we've got for the bag. So I'm going to put this to one side and I'll get the stamps in, some stamp blocks, and we'll get some creating doing. Right, I've taken the swan image from the December and Joy, and what I want to do is I just want to stamp it out, and I'm still sticking to the same colours, and this is the frayed burlap, because I would like everything to be really tonal. Now I know I could fill the whole card, but as I'm going to be cutting this image out and colouring it, I'm just, you know, putting it where it works on my card. We've got that beautiful, beautiful swan image, as you can see there. But what I want to do is I just want to stamp the top half again. Now that will become a little bit more obvious when you see the bag design and why I've done what I have done. Sounds very Secret Squirrel, doesn't it? Okay, let's just give that stamp a bit of a clean. And I want to then stamp that branch. Let's do a smaller block, would probably be a bit better. And I'm using again the frayed burlap because everything I would like to be tonal. So let's just move that out of the way. And we'll just do one more for luck. So I'm not wasting any card. I've got some excess card there just in case. And I'd like to, and then from the beautiful Swan Lake, I want this wonderful snowflake. And I'm going to do that one. I think let's try with the speckled egg to start with, and I might make it darker with the weathered wood. We'll see. I'm going to bring in the other paper for the moment. They've got that beautiful one there. I'm going to do another one as well. Okay, so we've got those two snowflakes going on. All right, I'm just going to put that to one side. I'm just going to quickly spritz this. And I just want to bring in that background because there's a lot of ink on there that I'm not going to waste. And it's just building up my background, you know, to create more and more depth. So, also, it's a bonus way of cleaning a bit of your stamp as well. And then finally, what I do want to do is I want to take the sentiment December and Joy. And let's put that on there. And I'm going to go with the frayed burlap again. As I said, I've kept everything quite tonal, and it'll look a little bit weird until all the elements start coming together, and then it'll look, I'm hoping, she says, fingers crossed, it will look okay. Right. Now I'm going to also be cutting this out. That's why I'm not worried about giving it a clear space and making it into a sentiment topper. So we've got that there. So that's our sentiment there. I'm just going to clean my stamp. But this time I won't be putting it on the background. I just want a general background with no wording on. So we've got the beautiful stamped images. You can see that swan is stunning. And the berry bush is there. So that's why I've done that. And I'll explain about this bit in a minute. I'm not sure I'll need all of it, but I know I need some of it. I've got my sentiment and I've just smudged my snowflake, but that's fine. I've got a plan anyhow. And so I've got my two beautiful snowflake designs, you can see there. Now I need to let them dry, and once they're dry, I'll cut them out, and then we can start colouring them in, but only very, very subtly. So I'll put them to one side and I'll be back once they're dry. Okay, I've cut everything out, and I stamped an extra snowflake or two, and they're from the Swan Lake set. So, you know, as a just in case, you never know when you need these things. Right, so I just want to colour one or two of the images up, and I'm going to use pencils. So let's just sort these out, and I'm going to start with the swans. Right, I'm just going to move my coffee as well because I realised I had that in shot, and I do like to have a coffee when I'm colouring. Now with the swans, I want to keep the colours quite subtle, so I'm going to go for pastel shades to start with, and then I'll add a little bit more detail to them. As you can see, I've kept my colouring really quite loose. That's because I want only certain areas to have colour and the beautiful swan image stand out. So I'm just going to add some shadowing now, just to the swan, and do the beak. So that's my beautiful swan image just coloured, and as I said, I've just kept the colouring quite subtle. It fits in with the background that I've created, so I've still got everything merging and working together, and it looks like this should be in place, fingers crossed. So I've got the swans done. What I have done is I have gone ahead and coloured some of the branches up, as you can see. Now I might colour one or two more, and I've made a start on my December and Joy, and I've started to cut around the leaves here and just add a little pop of green onto here, just to add some detail. And what I'll do is I'll finish off cutting around all of these parts so the sentiment then stands out in its own right. What I do want to do is I just want to add a subtle little bit of colour to my snowflakes, and I'm just going to use one colour on those. And for my snowflakes, that is literally all the colour I'm going to add. It's just a little bit around the edges and on the points. That's the one that I smudged, and with it cut out now and coloured, it would be very hard to see that that was the one I smudged. But I've pointed it out now, so you can. So I'm going to carry on just colouring up exactly as I've just done here. And then what we'll do is we'll start compiling and putting all the bag together. Right, let's get assembling this together. So I'm going to just put some red liner tape on that flap there. Now I'm using red liner tape for speed. If you prefer wet glue, use wet glue. Just going to burnish it down. Okay, so that's my starting point there. Now on the template, I had two score lines going down, and there, you know, we're going to pinch them in, and that will help create the shape of our bag. Now the only thing I do want to do is work out what I'm going to do with this top flap area here. And I think what I'm going to do is I found an old punch, and I'm going to use that. Now ideally I would suggest that you do the punch bit, you know, before you put all your glue tabs down, but I thought about this after the event, so that's why I didn't do it. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it, she says. Right, so just clear up those bits. And now I've got a decorative edge that's going to sit there. Now what I want to do is I want to punch some holes here, because I've decided I'm going to actually keep this all closed with some ribbon. And I could edge along here, you know, because I've shadowed all the edges, but I'm not going to, because I thought I'm going to be covering a little bit of that, and that will make sense once you see me add the decoration. Now I'm just going to work out where I want to put my holes. Now I'd like to say I'm precise, but I'm not. I just eyeball things. If that's not, you know, comfortable for you, just get your ruler out and mark. Okay, so I'm just going to put the holes in. Now the reason I creased these bits here is when I put the top back over, I need to know where to put the holes on the bottom bit, and having the sides creased gives me a better placing point. So I'm just drawing into those holes, and that will then give me a marking point. So now they sit on top of each other absolutely perfectly. So I couldn't decide what ribbon I wanted to use. Sorry, I'm going into my bag of goodies. And I've got this beautiful satin ribbon, which goes with everything. But then I found an older ribbon that I had that had words already stamped on it, like memories. And because of the sentiment, I thought that would be absolutely perfect as well. So I might be going to plan B with this ribbon, but we'll see. Right, now I've got all the holes cut, comes the fun part of decorating it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my sentiment along the bottom here. And I'm not worried about these bits getting caught because they can be pushed up when the box stands up. So let's just get assembling. Right, I put the 3D foam pads just in the middle because I want to take my swan image and I want to tuck it behind. And that gives me, by only putting the pads there in the middle, gives me a little bit of a chance to actually do that. So I'm just going to cut down because I don't need now all of this. And my swan image is going to tuck down inside there. And I think, yeah, that looks good. Like, so my swan image is going to tuck down like that. So I'm just going to stick the swan in place. Right, I did start making some stamens together that I want to stick down, but then I think what I'll do is I'll stick this part down here because I want them to glue and stay in place. Right, so the flaps here, what I'm going to do is stick the two smaller ones down, then this one, and finally the one at the front. And the reason I do the one at the front is when you look at the bag, all we get is a beautiful crease line there. You don't see any of the other workings. So because if I stuck it round the other way, potentially I can see where this flap is, and I'm just doing it for neatness. So I'm just going to put some red liner tape then just along that part there. So now, as you can see, that's my little bag starting to take shape from the side. Right, so we can do a little bit more decorating. So I want to put my stamens on just to break this up and to keep with the icy feel. I'm using glue, but you could use a gel medium, whatever, you know, that you have in your crafty stash. And we all have different sorts of you know, glues and preferences that we prefer to use. So I just wanted to add, you know, that little bit of detail there. Now I've got these bits here that I've stamped and cut out, and just to tie in some of the little bits of the colour, I want to just put a few of these around. And I did do one in a different colour, into a green, because I thought that might be, you know, a nice little bit of contrast in the centre there. But now that I see it, I think it might be a step too far in this part here. We'll see. I might change my mind, you know, altogether. Right, so that's the basic decoration, and I'm not going to be any fussier than that. Now, the reason I stamped and cut out another one is that when I put the flap down here, my beautiful swan image is covered. It's exposed when I open up the flap, but it's covered when the flap, you know, is waiting to be opened, or the box is waiting to be opened. So I've cut myself another one so I can cut this down and have like a little decoupage layer sitting on the top, and that will then, you know, look like a complete swan regardless of when the box is open or when the box is closed. So I just want to feed my ribbon in place first so we can then get everything sorted that way. And I think I'm going to go for this memories one. Right, I'm having a battle now with all the stamens. Right, so that's my ribbon closure, so it's going to hold the box in place, and I'm just for the moment just going to tie a simple bow. I'll sort out any wording that I want to do in a minute, but so I can just hold it in place and work on my next part. And that gives me now, because I can work out exactly where I want to place my ribbon and what's going to happen next with the swan image. So what I wanted to do was, if I slide my swan underneath there, is I want to stick the swan down in place, line up these pieces here, and I will sort out the decoration in a moment, and then it looks like the swan is still part of everything. However, the bow I think needs to be on the opposite side so I see the beautiful swan image. So I'm just going to swap that over. Okay, I faffed with the ribbon and I put it over there, and now I can, when I put the swan in and I place her in place, I don't mind the wings being separate, but I could even move her over just a little bit more, and she's showing within my design, so it looks like I've got two wings in the background there. So I'm just going to put her in place for the moment as a dry run, and then I can work out where I'm going to put all my glue. So I'm going to do the dry run and I'll be back. Right, for me, I had to move the bow up to the other side, and the main reason for that was I didn't like the diagonal look of all the embellishments, and I quite liked it that all the decoration was down one side, so I had to move her over. Now I've stuck the swan in place here, and I do need to trim a part of the image off, but as of yet I'm just going to let the head glue in place, and then I'll trim it once it's dry. And I can do that by just opening up the box and redoing the bow again, so that's no issue at all. Now what I do want to do is I just want to add some extra detail. Now I've got half the snowflake there, and to tie in the blue, let's just move, I will cut this ribbon down. I'm just going to move the ribbon to one side, and I've got a little bit of the wing there. I can add just a touch of the snowflake so it's going on the side or along the top. I quite like it, so it's going as a corner embellishment, you know, sitting there as a corner embellishment. So let's just stick those bits in place. So even though it's a lovely big image, think about cutting it down and using it in lots of different ways. So I've got that there. I will, like I said, I will cut the ribbon down in a moment, but I just want the glue to all dry before I do that. So I've got that sitting there, and then I do have some extra branches which I could add to it, and I'm actually quite tempted to. Yes, I think I will. Sorry, I'm talking to myself now. So I'm just going to put that little branch element there, and it's nice to have the green because it breaks up the blue of the ribbon and the blue of the snowflake. And I've obviously got my stamens as well. I might just add a few down there. Right, brilliant. So I'm going to leave it as is for the moment. I'm just going to let everything glue, or the glue go off in places, and then I can come back, trim the ribbon, and trim the beautiful swan image, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all been dried. Right, so this is the bag now finished. I've cut away the extra bit of the swan detail there, but when you look at visually at the bag, it looks like I've got the whole of that beautiful swan image on there. And everything, you know, is ready just to put a present inside. I thought these would make wonderful place name settings alongside a cracker or instead of a cracker, because they do hold something quite substantial inside. Now, once I let this to dry and stop faffing with it, I then thought, what would happen if I did exactly the same, you know, pattern that I've used with the stencil and the stamping, same colour inks, but went away on different cardstock. So that's exactly what I did do. So I did one on a beautiful olive green. I did one on craft. And then I did one on red. I just thought I had to see what the background looked like with the same colours. So this is the one on the cream, and I've done used exactly the same components. The swan's head this time is just a tiny little bit on the edge there, and I've done the ribbon tying and closure of this one on both sides, and I just added a little feather for an added extra. But as you can see, that's the patterning with the same stencils, same stamps, and it just looks beautiful. It's a lovely ghosting effect on the olive green. And then on the craft, again, same colours, similar layout, different ribbon colour, because I've just picked up the golds that I used from her beak and from my colouring. And that's the beautiful stencils and the stamping over the top on the craft. And they stand out and look stunning again. And finally, the one on this like beautiful, rich, deep red. And the only difference is I have stamped out some of the images. Rather than using the frayed burlap, I have gone for an aged mahogany just to match in with the cardstock. And again, that's the same stencils, same stamps, and it's got a totally different look again. So in creating my little gift bag and being patient enough to let it all dry, I then had a go at creating, you know, 3 more, all using the same stamps and the same stencils from Ciao Bella. Right, I appreciate seeing them lying down like this is a little bit trickier to see all the detail. I will take photographs and I'll either add them to the end of this video, or I'll put links in the description to where you can see the photographs of the finished items. Also, I'll make sure the template is available, and I will put a link to where you can find the template to download if you so wish in the description box below the video. Right, I hope you enjoyed that and you've got an idea how to make a lovely little gift bag which could be used all year round. I've used it combined with the Swan Lake stamp set and the Memories of December and Joy, but you could use them with any of the Ciao Bella stamps and stencils to create gift bags for whatever the occasion or time of the year. Thank you ever so much for your time. I'll put all the links to photographs, templates and everything like that in the description box, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.